Hi, I'm Brittany Hochstaetter, and I teach in the Communication and Theater Department in the Liberal Arts Division at the Southern Wake campus. And how do I use problem solving in my job? Well, I don't know about you, but I don't have any problems. No, I'm just kidding. I have faced a lot of problems. I'm sure many of you do. We all do on an everyday basis. And thinking about that practically, for me, it looks a lot like when one group of students struggle with an assessment or a quiz assignment, but then another group of students don't, and trying to figure out, let's get to the bottom of why that is, and trying to figure out, evaluate what I need to do to teach that content in a different way to meet the students where they're at and effectively convey that content in a way that helps them. So working through different ways to do that and testing them out. And so that's in a practical sense what I do as faculty in my job. And I know the students that I teach that go into the communication field, they are faced with a lot of creative challenges, and I think that this is a very useful thing for us all to study this model and help our students as they face many creative challenges in 2025 and beyond. So now that we've learned the terms and definitions, we're going to connect this to our Wake Tech problem-solving process model. As we know, problem solving is not always linear. Taking time to try out solutions and revise as needed is a critical part of an effective problem-solving process. Let's walk through the full model step by step using the student-friendly common language. So here is a simple real-world example. Oh, I'm sorry, not yet. We're not going to see that real-world example yet. You'll see that in a minute. Okay, so here you see a visual representation. In addition to identifying the problem-solving steps in academic and student-friendly language, we hope that all Wake Tech faculty and staff will be able to understand and guide students through this problem-solving process. Here's a visual representation of a structured problem-solving model that guides students and teams through the process of solving problems. We start with the first step, define. This is where we clearly identify and understand the problem that we're trying to solve. Without a well-defined problem, then we are going to have trouble identifying and understand that effective solution. For our students, this could be identifying why a desktop computer won't turn on, or understanding a math problem, maybe researching solutions to a more complex social problem. Next, we move on to learn. At this stage, we gather information about the problem. This could include researching background information, going to consult with experts, or analyzing data. The goal here is to understand the context and the constraints. From there, we brainstorm potential ideas. This is a creative phase where we generate as many possible solutions as we can without judging them. It's about quantity and variety, encouraging innovative thinking. After brainstorming, then we plan. Here we choose one or more of our ideas and map out how we could test or implement them. Planning includes goal setting, outlining steps, and identifying resources as well. Then we try it. We put our plan into action by testing the solution in a real or simulated environment. This is theory meeting practice. Some of our students will actually implement solutions like hair color corrections or even broken software code. Other students will have to think through potential consequences using theory and data. Then comes evaluate it. We assess whether the solution worked. Did it solve the problem? Real or hypothetical? What were the results? And did it create any new challenges along the way? Then we reflect on it, thinking about what we learned. What could be improved? And do we need to go back and adjust anything in the brainstorming or planning? This reflection leads us into a feedback loop that may cycle through several iterations of brainstorming, planning, trying, and evaluating. Once we feel confident in the solution, we move to share it. This final step involves communicating what we learned and what worked so others can benefit from our process and results. This step is important for collaboration and practice is a critical skill for the workplace. Sharing can happen in a variety of formats to a variety of audiences, from explaining a procedure to a patient to an MLA formatted research paper. This model is iterative and flexible, promoting a thoughtful and collaborative approach to solving problems. It's not always a linear process, and multiple steps might need to be repeated before the problem is solved. Now we consider the scenario. Here is a simple real-world example of a model in action. You can see that by applying the process to this simple problem, the student gets a chance to practice the steps she can apply in many other situations. So as we consider this scenario, a first-generation student is overwhelmed and we see is at risk of dropping out despite good academic performance. The student is struggling to navigate financial aid requirements, registration deadlines, and campus resources without family guidance. If we refer back to the problem-solving model, how can we use this process to support the student? Let's think about this. There are many creative ways to solve the problems. After we've thought this through and applied the 8 steps, we can view an example process in the next 4 slides. So I'm going to pause for a second and let you kind of think through those steps, and then we'll move on to the next few slides. So here's one way. You'll see one example of how applying the 8-step problem-solving process might look. You'll notice our student had to repeat some steps before they solved the problem. To review this information, you can always pause this video or review the slides in the Blackboard course. You can always review, rewind this video to go back and forth if you want a little bit longer to think through it. I'm just going to kind of pause here and let you have a chance to read through the slides and think through how this matched your own thoughts. After you've reviewed the problem-solving process, it's time for your second knowledge check. This time you'll be assessed on your ability to understand the 8-step problem-solving process. Remember, unlimited attempts are allowed, but you need to earn 80% on all 3 knowledge checks to pass and gain access to part 3. So, good luck.